All right, what are we talking about today?
We're going to try to tell people how to heal.
Let's tell people how to heal.
Just do some Joe Dispenza meditations.
No.
And you'll be healed of all your ailments. On his descriptions of meditations, does it say may cause diarrhea, heart palpitations, or death?
Or death, yeah. May cause tuberculosis. If you're allergic to Joe Dispenza meditations, don't take Joe Dispenza meditations.
Use caution if you have type 2 diabetes. Do not do while
Always
driving.
Consult a physician before taking Joe Dispenza meditation.
And welcome back to our serious spirituality podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Halina Schriefer.
Oh, I'm Paul Narus.
And we are here today to talk about healing. Aren't we, Paul?
I guess.
Seriously, though, thank you for watching these episodes.
No, not seriously.
Oh, not seriously. If you haven't watched our previous episodes, my voice got really high right there.
Hey guys,
So
how's everything going today?
watch the rest of this episode because you won't want to miss what we have in store for you. And follow it up with all of our previous episodes on, oh my gosh, all kinds of topics. As we are in the 16th episode.
Oh, I thought we were on 18.
No, this is 16.
Last week was 16.
No, last week was 15.
2 weeks ago was 15.
Well, they know which one it is because they can see the number next to the episode.
I think so
it's
now
our
130th.
Now we just look like a bunch of idiots talking
It's
about
our
numbers.
130th podcast.
We'll just make up a number every time and confuse everyone. It'll be chaos. So today, folks, we are talking about how to heal.
How?
How to heal. How do we do it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
It depends on what you're trying to heal.
Okay. Well, okay. What are we trying to heal?
We
talk
so
about.
heavy.
I don't know.
I don't know either. It doesn't
It's
matter.
fine. So when we say, like, we are a spiritual healing community, what does healing mean to you? Because it's a buzzword now. Gotta heal it. Heal it.
Well, there are lots of things to heal, but particularly when people come to us, they know what they want to heal, but then there's a lot of times that people have no clue what they're trying to heal.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of it has to do, I heard a good quote about it, is healing is not something you gain, it's something you release. So understanding that whatever we're trying to heal, whether we know it or not, requires us to let go of a different version of ourselves to become a new version, a healed version of ourselves. So like, say you want to get over an addiction, you have to stop doing the things that you're addicted to, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with disease. We have to reprogram our minds. A lot of times during Reiki, that's why we call it a cooperative process, is because we can't just say, you healed. You actually have to release something. The resistance to healing is the first thing you need to release. Then you need to find out what it is that you're holding on to that creates the disease within you. Done. Podcast
That's it.
over.
Cut. Market. Interesting. Okay, so tying into what we've been talking about these last couple weeks with comfort and discomfort, my question in my childlike way of why are we trying to heal? Because if we have something that is associated with an older version of ourselves, I suppose I see many people chasing healing, but there's a misconception that when we are healed, we are more comfortable in our life. And that's not always the case consistently, because there's going to be, just like we talked about last week, the
Right.
highs and the lows and the highs and the lows.
It's
But
inevitable.
I see a lot of people becoming discouraged because they heal a portion of their being only to find that there's more work to be done.
Yeah, well, we should know that going in.
But I mean, do we? Do we really know that? And is it? I guess I hear that a lot.
Someone new, not
Shouldn't have.
necessarily.
I should have already. I should have already healed this. X amount of years old, or I thought I've been done with this.
Well, isn't that like, I don't know if it's the right term, but hubris?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, you're not supposed to have done that. You could have all those times along the way, but is it mandatory? No. But you're at that point now. Isn't it about that present moment? We need to let go of what's happened in the past. When we start saying, well, I'm X amount of years old, I should have taken care of this by now. Okay. But let go of all that past, because that's just tying you to it. It's like when we talk about manifestation and the idea that we need to align ourselves, and like there's a lot of techniques of forced manifestation out there, but all that does is reinforce the lack. So letting go of the ideas, the constructs that we have inside ourselves that put up barriers or resistance to the ideas. And one of those is relying on our past to determine what our present and future are going to look like. And we can't do that.
Yeah. And you talked about manifestation and the lack that we have. That is, I think, kind of what I'm getting at, is we are wanting to feel fulfilled. We are wanting to feel at peace, but we may be chasing, like if we get 100 Reiki sessions and we go to massage therapists and crystal sound baths and all of the things, but we still feel miserable. Well, what's the problem here?
Well,
What is it that
right.
that we're missing here? And I think like that's my intention for having this discussion, because I think a lot of us get caught of, I still have these health issues, or I still have these mental challenges or emotional challenges, or I'm still finding myself in patterns. What is going on?
It's because we can't let go of the past version of ourselves. Going to 1,000,000 Reiki sessions, getting 1,000,000 massages, they're just putting temporary band-aids on things, but the wound underneath is still festering. That doesn't necessarily mean going back into your past and healing it. It can mean that, but it doesn't have to mean that. It can mean recognizing yourself in the present moment and going, I'm done with that, and then moving forward. Recognizing yourself now and then eliminating is a possibility, as opposed to going back. Like, a lot of people think it's a lot of work to go back. And they're right. It is a lot of work to go back into our past and try and determine what it is. But sometimes we just don't need to know. Sometimes we just need to move forward but the mindset needs to be positive. It needs to be something progressive. It needs to be an identifiable goal or dream.
Yeah. And I became awakened to the other day during a session where the student was, we were working through some of the past and talking about how the student has identified with their trauma. They had made it a part of their identity and built up all of these years of living as this person who has these traumas, but they don't know what life is like beyond the trauma, right? It's like if we had abusive parents and didn't have a lot of solid friendships or romantic partnerships throughout many years of our life, yet somebody comes into our life that is genuinely unconditionally loving towards us, we may freak out because we don't recognize it and we don't know what life would be like having this level of love within us. And I think that's something else that catches us is going off of what you're saying. We need to release this old version of ourselves it's incredibly difficult because it's been now ingrained in us that this is who we are. Well, who am I beyond this?
But those are all constructs that we've agreed to.
Correct.
And that's where we need to reach, is realizing that there's a framework, and then there's the layers we place on top of it. But all of that comes from other people's ideas of what being at peace and things, well, just anything in general is. Looking to yourself to determine what peace and love and everything really look like is something for you to do. And if you're fearful of accepting unconditional love from somebody, do you recognize it? And if you do recognize that you're in fear of it, release the fear. If you don't recognize it, accept love where you can accept love. It's not, everything's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I think we need to understand that. A great, happy life isn't for everybody. And that's sad to realize, but it's also true. Unless it is a possibility for everybody, but it's not the reality for everybody. Do you want to take advantage of the moments you have in your life to make it a reality for you? And that requires releasing resistance to having that. Despite all the information we have from our past, moving forward, what do we want it to look like?
I think many people too, so we can have that understanding for ourselves and realize where our resistance lies within us and work through that. I think another part where we get caught up is when we have a loved one who isn't healing at the pace that we are most comfortable with, whether that's physically. We talked to a lot of students, who are doing all this energy work and they're just thriving, but they have family members, partners, friends who are caught. They're caught in the system. They're caught in that programming and haven't been able to get past that. We can find ourselves stunting our growth, our understanding, when we continue to try to force help upon them. I see this a lot. It's like the fixer, the healer, the helper, the wounded healer. I need to help this person heal because they need to know that they could feel a lot better. What does that accomplish? Nothing. It weighs on us. And something for us to understand too is Donnie Epstein. He does. What is it called? Begins with an E. It's a different form of Reiki.
Eggplant.
No.
Oh.
I'll put his work in the comments. But powerful teacher, and he wrote 12 stages of healing. It goes up the chakra system, and it is really powerful work. And that writing awakened me to, one, I may be on level stage 6 in healing my daddy wound, but I may be on level 3 when I'm healing my sisterhood wound or something like that. We kind of float between these layers, but if we are continuing to move forward, then that's progress, and that's a really beautiful acknowledgement to ourselves and with other people. And some of us may be in a sprinting mode right now and plowing through. I've talked to many of you who there's just a lot of transformation happening at once, and I'm with you and I honor you and what you're doing right now. And some of us are also at a snail's pace, and it's okay, because I think I mentioned last time where I said we're like a moth to a flame, a moth to the light. We're going to get there eventually. It's how much resistance are we going to attach to on our way there?
Yeah, and I also want to state that I think that that's one of the hardest things about being a healer in this kind of work is that a lot of people don't realize that healers are still healing.
Welcome to the Ordinary Pioneer Spiritual Healing Community, where we offer gifts of healing, allowing for low and no income individuals to receive healing services at low to no cost. To support our mission, visit ordinarypioneer.com and make a donation. Your donation supports members of the community in receiving the support they need to experience peace.
A lot of people don't realize that healers are still healing. And also, just because they've healed to a level that's beyond what you can imagine doesn't mean they can impart to you that. You have to go through the same process. We're going through a process. We can provide you the conduit or conduits to get through that process, but we cannot take you without your assistance and put you in a state where you're healed.
Right. I said this to you the other day of if only I could understand half the S that comes out of...
And what does that S stand for?
I'm not swearing anymore.
Oh, it's swear?
Half the swear that comes out of my mouth during a Reiki session, because I needed to hear what was being channeled through me with a student the other day, and I was like, wow, like that's exactly what I need to hear. And let's not be misled in thinking that, you know, the wisdom that comes through those of us who facilitate healing, it's the importance of using the words healing facilitator, which also came from Donnie Epstein, but we're a conduit. We are messengers for the word, and that's it. Like, I mean, there's still so much work for me to do. I know you're already enlightened, but you know, for me to.
So, yeah.
But it's a constant. But you know,
Well, see,
would we want it
that
any other
brings up the
way?
point. Like, something I've been contemplating a lot recently is are we just listening to the voice of God at all times when our thoughts are coming through? Are we just picking up frequencies? But it's scrambled and it's like a million different things at once, and that's why our thoughts race, and we combine them with what's going on in front of us, what we see visually or what we can recall in our memory, and we think we're creating thoughts, but are we actually not just listening to the thoughts of someone exterior or something exterior or the collective thoughts of everyone all at once? But that's, I guess, for a different episode.
Well, and I think that brings up the point of what do I call it? The spillover effect in Reiki, where if we are in a family system and, you know, dad has PTSD and mom has anxiety and sister has depression, and we are highly sensitive, energetic beings, like we have that sense about us, it's very difficult to distinguish what is my energy versus what is their energy. And we're talking in separation, and we'll bring this back into unity, which is, I think, kind of what you're talking about too. But that's something, I think Donnie Epstein talks about this as well. If not, it's in one of the books I've read. But I'll share a personal experience. A lot of time, very connected to my middle sister, and we've always just had this like spiritual connection, and I didn't realize how strong that was until I became older, when she would have different health issues, and then she would go, we live in different parts of the state, but she would have certain health issues, and I would just happen to have the same health issues. And so it goes across time and space when we have those connections with people. So if we realize that we are connected to all, and this could even be, I think you had shared something like this in your own life too, but even if somebody's not in the body, we can pick up on, you know, maybe if they died from a heart attack, you know, we can then just begin getting these, you know, sensations of a heart attack, you know, that's energetic, or we can manifest something like that. And so there's so many different energies that we can connect with, but I think we complicate the process of healing. And if we, going off of what you started saying, if we release the past and any idea of what the future would bring, which is actually a reflection of what we know of the past, and see the present moment as completely new in the unknown, then there's nothing to worry about.
Right. The idea being that with the framework and the concepts that we have in our mind, there's predictability, but we can't determine what the future will be solely by current observation, except that if we're observing it from our memory of the past, it's going to likely be similar to our past. Mm-hmm. So ignoring, I don't like that word, but letting go of what the past means for the future and stop agreeing upon what certain constructs are allows the future to unfold in a natural way that is relative to your present actions, mm-hmm. not based on what your previous actions have been and what your previous outcomes have been. We can only know so many ways of doing a thing and finding the same results. But do we stop trying for different results? Yes, based on our past, but no, based on the present.
Mm-hmm. I think we do that because the past is familiar and we know what to expect. And so it's more comfortable to know, even if the past was tragic, it's still more comfortable to us to
absolutely
to re-experience it, which is why many find themselves in reoccurring abusive relationships. Well, I know what to expect here, and it's
this time I'm going to handle it differently,
right. And we never do, and it's not a matter of strength. It's just it's as simple as repeating patterns, right? The definition of insanity. But I think that's the scariest part of releasing the past, is because we truly don't know what's going to happen. And so for us to feel safe in that, I think we have to have a S-ton of faith and trust.
A swear ton?
A swear ton of faith and trust in the powers that be. If we don't acknowledge that there's something around us and within us that is all loving and all supportive, then we're doomed, if we don't acknowledge that, or simply if we don't believe in God, but
what
acknowledge
you just said
that
is a construct. We're not doomed.
Well, I know. That's my dramatic way of saying
yes.
it, because we get there anyways. We can't help that, but even if we can recognize that there's some sort of a power that is strong enough within us to bring us out of tragedy, then that's enough. But we have to be present, and if we're not present, then change isn't going to take place, and healing as we believe it to be isn't possible.
Right. It's like when I guess we can use the Impressionist painting mm-hmm. idea here. Is when we observe an Impressionist painting, say it's the first time you don't even know the artist, you don't know anything about the work. What do you see? And you come to a conclusion of what you see, and it could be a range of things, but until you're instructed what you should see, you just see what you see, and that's reality. Mm-hmm. It's not until we have an agreed upon idea of what it is from outside of ourselves that we go, oh, mm-hmm. But what you see is what you see, and that is still reality. That's what you see in that image. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, to take it a bit further, is to explain the resistance to letting go, is we have to realize, and this is one of the hardest things about being human, is that someday you're going to die, and you need to let go of the resistance to dying. Put yourself at the edge of the universe where nothing exists past it. Can you accept the fact that that's eternity? And if you can't, then you're locked here. That's fear. It's holding you back. But if you can just be okay with it, then move through your life as is. Move through it how you want it to be. Why are we continuing to act from a place of fear? When we don't do something we want to do, being healing a lot of the time, even if it's subconscious, why don't we just do it? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think along with that is the level of responsibility we have to take for our life and our choices. I think that's a difficult
But truly,
part of this.
Are we only responsible to ourselves, though?
I mean, no, when you look at it from the big picture, it is everybody, you know, but I think it can be helpful if I notice that I'm triggered by something, I have a strong emotional response to something in my environment, then I see that as my responsibility to work through. And as I work through it internally, the external world gets benefit of that. You know, I mean, my relationships have transformed in a really positive way because I've done that inner work.
Right. But it is also the external world of your observation.
Say more about that.
The infinality of everything means that there's an infinite number of worlds where you exist in that state already. So but it's all still one thing. It's all still one collective. So when you look at it from that perspective, do we have a situation where we have to positively affect or negatively affect the world around us when the positives and the negatives already exist in the infinite?
So what do we do in that understanding?
Take a nap.
Yeah.
Agree to it, take a nap, and you're healed.
That's it.
You know?
Cut. Mark it. And why don't we do that? Why don't we simply rest within the multiverse?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
I can answer for
Except
myself.
for fear.
To me, well, it could be fear, but to me, my soul finds that boring.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
I want the
God
drama.
wouldn't have created all of this if he wasn't bored.
Right. I want the drama. I want the chaos because it's interesting. And
so why fight against it?
Well, and can we observe it as an impressionist painting versus getting in there and trying to, oh, this color is not right. Let me put this over here and let me, and begin to change it and muddle it. Then
you all of a sudden have a photorealistic image of a cat.
That's it. That's not what the artist was going for at all. But like my new friend Michael Singer, he
your new friend Michael Singer.
And he said when something arises, he's like, don't mess with it. Just leave it alone. Because it is when I'm triggered, I think there's something that I have to do about it. But if I acknowledge, here's the emotion coming through, here's the anger, here's the fear, here's the joy, even joy in itself can feel uncomfortable. And instead of doing anything about it, like when I get a lot of joy, I want to share this I have to tell somebody that I saw this bird flying and through a rainbow and all these things. I don't know what else happened from there. That's enough. But
I want more.
I have to call and tell somebody about this. What if I just take that in and see that as the power of the universe right there in front of me and simply be in awe? Wow, that happened.
Why even bother with that?
But to
Just
me,
take a nap.
but to me, I want to be engaged
Yeah,
in
okay.
that. I want
That's
it
fair.
like a sunset. I don't want to close my eyes for a sunset. Maybe you do, but
Depends
to
on how
see
bright it is.
to see it and witness the glory of God right in front of me is incredible. And with that, can we witness the glory of God in
everything?
Everything. It's all God. And I was thinking about this today, and I did an interview with Carol
Not just
Sarkin.
the sunsets.
Yeah, Carol Sarkin and I, world-renowned psychic Carol Sarkin, we were talking about being a psychic and how some see that as the devil's work, but everything's created by God. Even psychics, even
the devil himself.
devil himself. So if we think God as we have maybe grown up to understand God in the confines of the church, that if God is omnipresent and omnipotent and all of the things, Alpha, Omega, then there's nothing that God is not in. So everything's blessed. Everything's blessed.
Blessed.
Even the pain, even the discomfort,
Yeah.
even the paper cuts. God exists even in the paper
That
cuts.
was the harshest scene to watch in that movie.
I know, that's what has you all like elevated this week, is the Everything Everywhere All at Once. Highly recommend to get a perspective on the multiverse and different
The
realms.
infinite
of,
reality.
Oh my goodness. And also the importance of learning to focus your mind. It's really, really powerful demonstration of that, I think. But yeah, so going back to the responsibility, I'd like to go into that a little bit for those of us that find ourselves blaming others or our circumstances for our problems, because that is a quick way to bypass healing, coming back into ourselves. I hear this a lot from students in very obvious ways and also very subtle ways. And I catch myself so often blaming other people or situations. Oh, well, this is why this is, or, this happened, and so this is why I'm late, or even blaming myself for that matter, but in that bypassing, we're not going to get to the understanding we need to that's in the present moment. We're blaming ourselves because we were told at one point in our past that, well, this is bad. It's bad to be late.
Right.
It's bad to feel these feelings, or,
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. Nothing's
It's bad to be late.
Oh, stop it. I'm late all the time. Yeah, so when I find for myself, when I am triggered and I notice I'm blaming myself or circumstances or other people, that is a space of me that I do not want to look at. I don't want to look within.
Why?
I don't know. I was just trying to decipher why that is. And I think it's because that means I have to change. And not to say like I have to make myself more of a comfortable version of myself for other people.
We're right back to the beginning of the episode now.
Oh, are we full circle?
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult to change, because I know myself to be a certain way and I'm late all of the time.
But you'll never heal
until
you change.
Until you change, right? We have to have, last week we talked about emotions and the movement of that. We have to be willing to make change in our lives. And if we're feeling that we're stuck and I don't know, I hear that a lot too. Like, I'm stuck, and it's like, okay, well then right now we can admit I'm not willing to change right now. And I'm fine with that. It's okay. It's okay to be stuck. It's okay to not be willing to change, because it's gonna happen eventually, whether you want it to or not. But in the meantime, take a nap. Right? Take a nap, because it's going to come.
Things.
It really is. Just rest in where we're at, because eventually You know, a prayer that I have, if I'm seeing the change in front of me and I'm not ready to do that, I say, prepare my heart. Get me to where I need to feel safe making this change in my life. And it's not comfortable to change, but
I also
that's where growth
want to
is.
stress the importance of being able to release and change despite the energies around you. Like taking the example of being late. If you don't want to be late anymore, say this is what you're trying to heal. You don't want to be late anymore. Stop being late, despite the fact that everybody reminds you that you're already late. Who cares?
I remember hearing something like that, and it stuck with me. I don't know if this was in a psychology class or in high school or something. It doesn't matter. But it's maybe you're a psychologist and you know there's probably a term for this. But if you tell a child, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid over and over and over again, they are going to take that belief on for themselves. And so that's going to be part of their identity. Oh, I am stupid, right? Which is a power.
Partially because they don't actually know what stupid means.
True.
Because it's subjective.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But they've developed an idea of what that means, and it's not a positive thing to them.
Right. If they think it's a negative thing, then yeah.
Right. Yeah. Which most people probably think stupid is a negative thing.
I don't know. Some people love ignorant bliss.
Unless it's STOOPID, right?
Yeah. Or STU.
PID.
Hyphen.
Stu. I wonder if there's a guy named Stu Pid out there.
Of course there isn't.
We should get him on the show. Call up Stu.
His name is Stuart.
Stuart Pid. Anyways. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
You got any questions
I
for
got
us?
a lot more.
I know. It's always more we can talk about. But we'll see you next time on the Serious Spirituality
Not so. I don't know how many times we have to go over this.
podcast. Wake up, it's not nap time.
Yeah, it is.
If you're new to Ordinary Pioneer, welcome. We thank you for engaging with us in this way, and we invite you to visit our website, ordinarypioneer.com, and see all of what we're about, and read about our program, The Gifts of Healing, which allows for low and no income individuals to receive healing sessions here, which is not something that's heard about a lot. You know, a lot of people pay an arm and a leg for that kind of service.
Or at least a big toe.
Or a big toe. We gratefully receive any donations, and thank you for your consideration of that to support this program. And we will see you next time.